These are just clever aerodynamic tricks. They are not foolproof. We don't know if they are sustainable, but however, they helped Charles Leclerc a lot. We could see the evidence through drag reduction, especially on the straights. And basically, the first thing I'd like to talk about is the flip wing. That's the 180 degrees rotating rear flap. What happens is when the wing flips into the low drag mode, the car is able to slice through the air more easily. That means less energy is wasted and air resistance is basically reduced. And then, like you rightly mentioned at the end of your discussion, more energy is available for harvesting because the car can now reach higher speeds before it brakes. So there's more kinetic energy to recover when the driver hits the brakes. So the MGUK, that's the motor generator unit kinetic, can harvest more effectively as a result of the flip wing. The flick up, however, that's the FTM winglet at the rear. This adds a little bit of rear downforce without extra drag. What the winglet does is to, he uses exhaust gases to improve the flow of the air at the rear of the car. So this will help to increase corner gripping without forcing to run at a high drag, and there's more stable braking. Harvesting is improved. The rear end under braking allows the driver to brake harder and basically more consistently. So that means that the motor generator unit kinetic can recover energy more smoothly and aggressively. So two things we see here. It's helping drag to reduce drag on the straights and is making energy harvesting more efficient, basically. But like you said, this is not foolproof. We never know if it's something that is going to be sustainable, and we don't know whether it will affect the equilibrium of the car at the end of the day.
And so here are the examples, because especially with Leclerc, we know Leclerc likes to drive at the edge. So now when Leclerc is entering the corners, he's using the thing to give him downforce when he's entering the corners. But he's going from a mode at which he has a lot of straight line speed. And all of a sudden, you add that passive downforce. By adding that, what you're doing is you're making a transition from lift to downforce, which causes a brief moment of jarring. And when you get to that brief moment of jarring, that's why we noticed that even though Leclerc was planted during the corners, he was having snap oversteer and sort of oscillating. He was wobbling. The wobbling is caused by the actual imbalance caused from shifting from, because think about it, if you're going lift and you're going fast and all of a sudden you turn something on that's going to bring downforce, it's going to cause a jerk. Same thing if you downshift. Downshift will give you more downforce and supposedly stability. But when you downshift with a car, when you're going at a high speed, it's going to cause some slight oversteer and understeer. And we're seeing that. And that's also very dangerous for a driver like Leclerc, who already drives at the edge. So what we were noticing is that when he was getting his fastest times, he was really planted through in the corners, but he was hanging on. And he was hanging on because of, number one, his style of driving is always at the edge. And also when you have that transition going into the corner, where you now add the winglet's downforce, it's abrupt. It may be even as smooth as it can be. There's still a micro degree of abruptness, and that micro degree of abruptness, especially in F1, can cause instability for a driver unless you're Max Verstappen.
Unexpected outcome.
Or even Leclerc, because what happens is Leclerc pushes the limit more than Verstappen. So because Leclerc is pushing the limit so much, now when I'm talking about this abrupt change, it's very imperceptible. But at the level of this, when you're driving with F1 drivers, it's going to lead to some snap oversteer unless you can really control it. And we know that Leclerc can control it, but since he's already pushing at the limit, it's going to hurt him. And what we noticed is that with Leclerc, it was either or. If he was able to hang on and make a qualifying lap, he was doing qualifying sims, he would have the fastest time. But 40% of the time, he would have to back out of it because he would lose control because of the oversteer. And that's how Leclerc drives. So that's the first thing. Now, also coming off of the corner, when you now turn the wing upside down to dump all of the downforce. When you dump all of the downforce, there's going to be a moment when you're transitioning from downforce to speed where there's instability, and that can cause locking out. So what we're saying is that these new devices will work, but they're going to put more demands on the drivers to be able to handle the moment of imbalance and instability when you switch from either from lift to downforce or from downforce to lift. What are your thoughts, Follow? You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, because the driver at the end of the day would have to take advantage of whatever complements this brings. From track to track, from turn to turn, you have to know exactly what to do, where to do it. The flow of the car, basically.
The timing.
Yeah, the timing. The floor of the car basically produces the majority of the car's downforce, by feeding it a lot of clean air. The underbody acts like almost like a suction. It pulls air. I think this was what allowed Leclerc to brake late.
Yeah.
And he basically carried a lot of speed through the medium and high speed corners. Now, if you look at the front of the car, this will feel very responsive, what you call pointy, and on corner entries, this would be an advantage for him. But like you said, it's no foolproof. It's just a clever trick that helps to reduce drag and makes the car more responsive on the entry to corners. We never know what will happen.
And here's the conundrum: if you're doing a long race, those adding that lift or adding that downforce, depending on what you're doing, is not going to make a difference, since this is becoming an endurance sport in which you have to use the algorithm to measure out energy. So this would only work in short bursts, like performance, like for qualifying. Yeah. But the problem is that so you could use it for qualifying, but when you're doing qualifying, to have to use those things when you're trying to have precision and putting on the limit makes the transition from downforce to lift, or from lift to downforce, it makes it even more precarious. But if you use it for a race, what's more important is tire deg and harvesting. So it's almost like it may not be really worth it to use this for a race, and it would be dangerous to use it in qualifying. Do you see what I'm saying? Because it would work more in qualifying. Because over a race, when you're doing 50 laps, I don't think the way that you're going to be going so slow on the corners anyway, that I don't think you're going at speeds which are going to cause instability entering the corners. And coming off the corners, you could add that little boost. That might help you for racing. I think it would help. It would help more coming out of the corners. So I think the downwash coming from the winglet, I think that's more important than entering the corners at high speed for a race, because we know that in this age now, what's going to be important is coming out of the corners really fast and building up straight line speed. But since corners are going to be slower now because you're going to be harvesting coming into corners, I don't think that I got it wrong the other way. Coming into corners, I don't think that having that extra downforce is going to be important, because you're not going to be going that fast anyway. That's going to be more important actually in qualifying, because in qualifying, when you're going into slow speed corners, you need as much stability when you enter the corner. So I think that the winglet is going to be more important for qualifying, and I think that the 180-degree turning wing is going to be more important for races, because in the races, straight line speed is going to be important, because that's where all the passing is going to be coming in and where all the defending is going to be coming in. But ultimately, I think both of them will give Ferrari negligible. They'll give them an advantage, but it's going to be negligible based on the fact that what's really important in these races is pacing yourself for the overall race and using the algorithm to figure out where you want to brake, where you want to harvest, and things like that. So it'll add an advantage, but I don't think it's going to be groundbreaking in which is going to give them a victory. And also it's risky because you don't know what side effects it has in the car, because it's not part of the overall unity of the car. It's an external part that you're adding it. So we don't know what it does to mess up the overall balance and unity of the car. That's all I have to say. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And the minute I read about this, what came to my mind was the fact that it could help a lot in qualifying. But overall, the mean effect or the net effect may be negligible. It may not be as significant as it was made to be in this particular race that is being referenced in the Bahrain testing. So at the end of the day, a lot of other factors would come into play. The strength and the power of the engine would come into play, so much so as the efficiency of the engine to harvest power when it needs power overall. So I don't think it's something to wax lyrical about this early. It's a clever innovation. It's a good one, but the net effect, the mean effect of the advantages it offers, both the flip wing and the flick up, may not necessarily be, significant. It might just be negligible at the end.
I think it would have been more significant during the ground effect errors, but during the ground effect errors, you wouldn't even
would have been.
Yeah, because during the ground effect error, you had to enter the corners as fast as possible. But now you're measuring your pace, so you're not entering as fast. So you may not even need more of that downforce. I think what's more important during this era is going to be balance,
energy harvesting,
and also no matter what, when you're driving on curbs and qualifying, you need stability and ride quality. So some of this might add to that a little bit too. But the problem is during the transition, there are going to be abrupt jerks in the car.
There will be.
All right, so
will be. I
Right. So we
feel,
want to
I
thank you
feel
for watching.
after the first quarter, we'll have a clearer picture because I still think
Yeah,
we still have a lot of variables
yeah, and the data
that
shows
we
that
don't know.
Ferrari is pretty fast, but they're still having problems compared to Red Bull
Red Bull, yeah,
when it comes to tire deg
yeah,
to tire deg.
true.
So I think these are going to be things that we'll see, but we will say that Ferrari has greatly improved. This year is not a shit show.
No, it's not.
It's not a shit show.
They look
All right, okay,
determined
thank you
to
guys for
avoid
watching.
any embarrassment. They look
Yeah,
determined to avoid any embarrassment. Last year, the
yeah.
beginning was an embarrassment for them.
No, they're good. They're a lot better this year, and I dare say both drivers will win some races this year. You know,
Uh-huh.
I believe so. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
their car looks whatever it is, their car isn't bad anymore, and
No,
it
no, no,
looked
no.
pretty
The car
good.
is not bad anymore. The car is not
All
bad.
right, so guys, you've been watching our Formula One Fanatics. Thanks for staying in tune and staying grounded while we talked about this technical bullshit. I guess tomorrow we have to talk more about the gossip about what's going on. The shit. There's a new shit show. The shit show at Aston Martin. All right, so stay tuned for that. Thank you. All right, Afalabi, take us there. Man, that was fucking crazy.
Yeah.
That shit was crazy what we just did now. Take us in for football now.